But I mastered that style. It's like the 5 deadly venoms. So all he had to do was get next to a nigga like that, and he could destroy him.
Believe in that, for real. We plan to take the same strategy we use with Devereaux West, mind over matter, taking all our weaknesses and making it into our strength. That all these people talk about an East Coast, West Coast war, they like the Judas was to Jesus. They only here to cause confusion. We here to bring money and to bring change. They here to cause confusion. All these weak rappers, Nas, all these suckers, they battling off of East and West like this is a game. This ain't no game. If this was chess, we'd be yelling checkmate 3 years ago, because we've been beat these. It's not a game.
What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Now, I told you, the only way for me to come back is as EGOVELI. Out on bail, fresh out of jail, California dreaming. Soon as I step on the scene, I'm hearing hoochie screaming, fiending for money and alcohol. The life of a West Side player with cowards dot, and it's all bull. Now, I gotta talk to you guys about Guillermo Rigondeaux, who is a superb, skilled fighter that just can't seem to get his just due credit in the sport of boxing. He's been kicked on, spit on, left for dead, and criticized by the boxing writers, tons of boxing fans, his former promoter and Top Rank, and a lot of people. Now, the thing that I don't like about that is this is boxing. You have to embrace all the styles. Like, one of my favorite movies is Bloodsport. And the brilliance with Bloodsport is they had people from all walks of life, all over the world in the main kumite. It's a tournament. So you could be from Japan, you could be from America, you could be from Brazil, France, all the different styles. And you had to see who would emerge victorious and win that battle against all the different styles. That's what a real fight game is like, you know what I mean? Whether it's MMA or boxing or the kumite, some fictional shit, you know what I mean? That's what a fighting sport is about. It's not like, oh, I could, if you stand in front of me and trade, I'll best you, you know what I'm saying? It's no matter if you use lateral movement or you're a slick fighter or if you're a banger or if you can box, you're a boxer puncher, you can defeat the different styles. And Rigondeaux in 15 fights has done what some people haven't even done, and they have like double that, triple that. You know what I mean? They have 30 fights, 40 fights, and they've been got it along slowly. So I do give Rigondeaux credit. Now the WBO is basically threatening to strip him of the title that he has with them. And the reason that I'm bringing this up and the reason why I have to come to you as EGOVELI is because I think there's a lot of behind the scenes corruption, power, and influence that is making this decision to strip Rigondeaux. Rigondeaux is not a high profile star. And that's the point of this video, and that's what's upsetting in boxing. Now, some people are like, rules are rules, man. It's the rules. He hasn't defended in 9 months. Fine, that's fair. But the thing is, one, there's too many fucking belts in boxing in general. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it is what it is. There's too many belts. Like, you might as well go to Burlington Coat Factory and get a belt and say I'm a world champion. That's how it is in boxing nowadays. So that's one thing. There's too many belts. You got a interim champion, and then you got a regular champion, and then a super champion, and then a super califragilistic champion. You know what I'm saying? It's just too many champions. That's one thing. Boxing used to not have all these divisions, like subdivisions, and like, you know what I mean, super middleweight and middleweight. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't as complicated. It wasn't like you could just become a champion. Like, if you were a 4-time champion, then you're like, damn, you really worked for that. You know what I'm saying? But now there's promotional things, like Broner fought Oliver Diaz. He looked good, but he was coming off of a loss. So really, was he in line for a title shot? You know what I'm saying? Things like that. So that's one thing. Too many fucking belts in the sport of boxing. Aside from that is rules are rules. I could get with that. But where I have a problem is when those rules aren't enforced consistently. Like, if you're a Floyd Mayweather or Manny Pacquiao, a guy with clout, star power, then they're not going to push you because they want you to hold their belt. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to, like Mayweather, he fought Canelo for the 154-pound title, beat him, easy work, and he held on to that without really making a defense. They said the Maidana rematch was a defense, but Maidana hadn't fought at 154. So really, it wasn't a true defense. But that's what I'm saying. If you're a Pacquiao, a Cotto, Mayweather, someone that they like, or someone with the clout and star power that they have, then they're not going to enforce the rules on you. And that's where I have a problem, because I believe in equality. I believe if a rule is a rule and you're going to be a stickler for that rule, then across the board it should be that way. That's like saying, oh, Ego, I pulled you over because you're speeding, but everyone on the road is speeding. Like, don't single me out, pull everybody over. You know what I'm saying? Especially when I'm driving 72 miles per hour and then you got people driving 90, 95 miles an hour, and you don't pull them over, but you pull me over. And that's kind of what's happening with Rigondeaux. I think Rigondeaux has been on the wrong side of some promotional issues. Like, I mean, whose promoter talks about them? That doesn't even make sense to me. How can you promote something you're trying to sell to the public or a network and you're bad-mouthing? And that's pretty much what Top Rank did. They said, oh, Rigondeaux, he's boring. Nobody, HBO vomits every time I bring up his name. Nobody wants to see him fight. He's a runner. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't, Bob Arum and Top Rank and stuff, that's not how you treat your talent. There's fighters that are out there that are literally garbage. Like garbage. They got no skill. I see them losing or getting knocked out, you know what I'm saying, within the next year or so, right? And based on them having a fan base or having the look or style or whatever, they get the proper treatment. But guys like Rigondeaux, who are highly skilled, he gets blackballed by his promoter, blackballed by the fans. Like, you know what I'm saying? I made videos about this. Go check it out on my channel. They were praising Zhao Shiming. Like, Zhao, it says Zhao Shiming. I made literally, and I try my best not to come over the top and, you know what I mean, bash fighters. But I watched him. And I studied the game, and I made videos, and the video title was something similar. Zhao Shiming is garbage. Like, because that's what I really felt. Like, I felt he was getting a lot of praise because he was working with Freddie Roach and a Hall of Fame trainer and a high-profile gym at the Wild Card. Plus, he was Chinese, and he had a lot of support in China, and he was a star over there. Plus, he had been to the Olympics, so people were like, oh, Zhao. But you got another gold medalist in Rigondeaux, and he's more skilled, in my opinion, than Zhao Shiming, and he always has been. And he can't get a break. You know what I'm saying? Now the WBO trying to take his title that he worked to get within 15 fights. So I just think that's why Zhao Shiming just lost this year. You know what I'm saying? Because I have a knack for boxing. Like, I really pay attention to who's doing what and, like, you know what I mean, defense, offense, what, you know what I mean, what level of talent someone brings. You know what I'm saying? That's why when I do my predictions, a lot of them come true. And even if they don't come true, a lot of what I said still holds relevant, even if I pick the wrong winner. You know what I mean? So Zhao Shiming, I thought he got a lot of hype, and he hadn't really shown me much in his fights. And you see, he already took a loss. And then meanwhile, Rigondeaux, he got knocked down 2 times by a guy who was in a higher division and came down just to fight him. Guy who was a featherweight and like looked like he was about 6 feet tall in the Magasa. But they don't tell the whole tale. Yeah, he got knocked down twice, but he got the fuck back up, and he ended up battling back and disfiguring the dude, you know what I'm saying, and making him, you know what I'm saying, forcing him to quit. So I think Rigondeaux, man, he's a skilled fighter, and he just doesn't get the credit that he deserves for the talent that he possesses. If you can't catch him, and the thing is, like, a lot of boxing fans, I'm going to tell you like it is, a lot of boxing fans, you're sheep, you are cattle. All you do is follow the flock. If Bob Arum, Top Rank, HBO, Showtime, whoever, PBC, if they tell you something, instead of formulating your own opinions, what you'll do is just run with that. Like, the promoter says Rigondeaux's boring, so you don't watch his fights in detail to determine for yourself if he's really boring. You just take their word for it. Or you just go with the crowd. Man, I'm not doing that. I don't do that. I'm not going to I'd rather stand out for what I believe in than to just assimilate and follow what everyone else is doing. That's not me. I'm not gonna fake it. You know what I'm saying? Rigondeaux is a skilled fighter, and boxing is not about boring or entertaining per se. Obviously, everyone wants to be entertained, but realistically, if you're just that good, then it's gonna take someone who's gonna challenge you to bring out the best side of you. That's just what it is. Like Rigondeaux, he's eons above a lot of the competition to the point where they don't have the go for broke attitude. They see the accuracy, the speed, and the counterpunching ability of Rigondeaux, and they get gun shy, period. Igbeko, perfect example. He's a world-class fighter, and his fights with Abner Mares were exciting, even with the low blows or whatever. But at the end of the day, he fought Rigondeaux, and it was a one-sided ass whooping because he was reluctant to engage based on what was in front of him in the smaller Rigondeaux. Like, how is a smaller guy like Rigondeaux, who's smaller than Abner Mares? Mares looks bigger, and, you know, he's all buff, cut, and stuff for the weight. And Egbeko had no problem, like, at least, especially in the first fight, having some success with Abner Mares, even though he lost the fights. You know what I'm saying? Because he was willing to engage because they're around the same level at the time. You know what I'm saying? But Rigondeaux is just so much separation, you don't know what to do, and you become gun shy. It's very similar to what Floyd Mayweather does. Cotto got a guy with a lot of experience, gave Mayweather a tough fight. That's because it's Cotto. Maidana gave Mayweather a tough fight because he also has a lot of experience, a slept-on amount of experience, fighting guys like Eric Morales, having power, fighting guys like Broner. You know what I mean? Maidana's been in there with Prime Victor Ortiz. He's been in there with a lot of people. So you notice the guys who were at a level with a lot of experience and certain strengths, they gave Mayweather competitive fights. So guys like Donaire and Egbeko, if the fight's not as competitive, it's because usually they become fearful. Like, they don't know how to approach. No one wants to get knocked out, and nobody wants to make the wrong mistake. And if every time you go to make a mistake, you're paying for it, then of course you're going to be a little bit more hesitant. That's why Egbeko, when he's fighting Mares, he wasn't as hesitant, because Mares wasn't making him pay each and every time he did something wrong or dropped his guard or glove or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But Rigondeaux will make you do that. So I just think it's bullshit with the WBO. It's just about power, networks, and stuff. They just want to free up that belt. And Rigondeaux doesn't deserve that. He's already been bashed by his promoter at one point. He's been bashed by fans. To take his belt, again, don't tell me that rules are rules stuff unless it's consistent. If you consistently across the board, everybody that hasn't fought, you strip them, then that's one thing. And if there's that continuity, I don't have no problem with that. But that's really not what happens with these belts. You'll get a guy like, let's say, Oscar Valdez or Lomachenko, or someone who's a bit more celebrated or popular, and they cannot defend for 9-10 months too, and there's no threat of getting stripped. But then certain people, they want to make an example out of you, free your belt up, and immediately strip you. So basically, unless Rigondeaux can come up with a valid reason why he hasn't defended, then he's going to get stripped. So likely he'll be stripped. Let me know what you guys think of Guillermo Rigondeaux getting stripped of his WBO title. He still will be a champion. He just won't have that belt. Drop it in the comment section. Make sure you like my video. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off.